So in part D of this question, they're asking us to find a limit. The limit as x approaches 1, 10 to the x minus 3f prime of x over f of x minus arc tan x, like anybody says arc tan anymore. That just means inverse tangent. So when we're looking at this, as a fraction, we should think maybe can I factor something? It really does not look like anything's in common for me to factor. Could I think about L'Hopital's rule? Is it a 0 over 0 form or infinity over infinity form? That might be a good starting point to think about that. Maybe I could do a L'Hopital thing. So let's just look at what these values would turn out to be if I plugged the one in, because that would tell me what kind of L'Hopital form I'm looking at. So let's go ahead and plug in the one and see what happens. So this is really just scratch work. It's just like an experimentation. So at x equals 1, what would happen? Because I'm expecting everything to be undefined. So I'm not expecting this limit to just be equal to this. So I would have 10 to the first power minus 3 f prime of 1 over f of 1, whatever that is, minus. Notice how they expected you to know the inverse tangent of 1 without a calculator? That's why I spent all that time training you guys to learn how to be able to do that. Be able to just go, oh, I know the inverse tangent of 1, it's pi over 4. Because this was a no calculator question, you had to know that. So, well, now you don't have to know that so much, but at least you would have been ready if we hadn't been beset by disaster. So now what I have to do is look at these and say, okay, what is f prime of 1? What is f of 1? So fortunately, I have a graph of f right here. It's not a graph of f prime, but I can figure out f prime if I look at x equals 1 and just say, what is the slope here? So the slope of this line is going to be f prime of 1. Well, the slope of the line is clearly 2. So f prime of 1 is 2. So now I have 10 minus 3 times 2, which is 6, over, and I can also read f of 1. I just read it right off the graph. Here's x equals 1. Here's f of 1 is 1. So that is 1 minus pi over 4. So to my great surprise, I find out that not only is it not a L'Hopital form, because the numerator is not 0 or infinity, but also the denominator is not 0 or infinity either. So what that means is that this limit can be evaluated by substitution. And in fact, that's what we just did. So this was all sort of scratch work over here. You could sort of like circle that and make it be your answer, but I'm going to rewrite it over here so that my writing is clear and consistent. So I'm going to say that this limit equals 4 over 1 minus pi over 4. And I'm just going to add in by substitution so that the person who's evaluating it knows that I know what I'm doing here, okay? So substitution, I did not expect to be the way to evaluate this limit, because in a way it's too simple. You're just plugging in the values. That's sort of an algebra 2 thing to do. But in this case, it turns out to be the solution, which gives you the strategy, don't overthink it, just try something and see if it works. And that's it for question number 3.